Okay, so today we're going to be talking about American Fiction, and I have to say that this will be a very hard movie for me to review because I absolutely loved it. I have really no negatives. So yeah, today we're going to need to do something different because like I don't have many negatives, we can't really talk about the positives and the negatives. So instead of that, we're going to be discussing things that I really liked from the movie. So yeah, it's not really a mystery. You know that I love this movie. You don't really have to watch the whole video. Of course, this is a joke. Please stay because you're going to really enjoy it. So yeah, let's begin. Okay, so let's start with just some general thoughts. And yeah, like I said before, I love this movie, and I mainly love this movie because I love the writing. I love the writing because it's super topical and also really intelligent. And I can already anticipate that I consider this director one of the masters of cinema. Maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe it's because I'm really hyped because I watched this movie like 2 or 3 days ago, but I really loved his film and I really think that he's a genius. So yeah, now let's talk about something else. Okay, so one of the things that I love the most about this movie is that the family, the affluent family of the protagonist, seems really real. By this I mean that the first scene that we have with his sister before she dies, which was super surprising, and she starts like joking around, felt real, felt like they were really siblings. And after that, when we're introduced to his brother and he starts like teasing him, again, it felt really real. And not only that, but one of the things that I love the most about this movie is how the family, and we don't see it, but how the family talks about what happened to his dad. The reason that I really like this is because I think that in most families we at least have one like tragedy. We have things that are bad that happen to us that they don't really affect our daily lives, but we like have them there. So I found it really realistic how they introduced the thing that his father killed himself and they didn't really do anything with it. I know that this goes kind of against the Chekhov's gun thing, but this in particular, the fact that they are introducing something that won't be shown later but that affects most families, felt really realistic. So yeah, that was something that I really appreciated. I also really liked how, although this is clearly Monk's story, you can tell that all of the characters in the film, all of the characters in the family, they have like their own world with their own problems. The same thing that I said about the father and how he killed himself could be applied to his brother and the issues that he was having because of coming out and the infidelity and everything else. They have their own issues, but something that I liked and that we're going to comment afterwards when we're going to talk about the social commentary of the film, one thing that I really appreciated was that they all had problems. All of the characters, all of the black characters of the film had problems, but they weren't the stereotypical problems that you might see in another type of film. So yeah, that was something that I really appreciated. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about the themes of the movie, and this is the thing that really interests me, because this movie has a very interesting moral question. Who are black stories made for? And is it morally okay to profit from those kind of stories? Because what the movie basically says is that mainly the type of representation that black people have in stories are as deadbeat dads, rappers, crack consumers or sellers, and also people who end up being killed in the street. And basically what this movie says is that these kinds of stories aren't really made for a black audience, but more for a white audience who feels guilty and wants absolution for their guilt. And yeah, this is shown perfectly in the first moment of the film, in which Monk, who starts the film as a university professor, writes the N-word in a blackboard and the white girl becomes outraged at what he wrote. And yeah, it's a very ironic scene because she, a young, maybe 20-year-old white girl, is explaining to a black man why the N-word is offensive. That and the fact that when in the ceremonies they are celebrating this kind of stories, like at the beginning with Sintara's book or later with the book that he wrote, white people block him when he starts applauding. So yeah, I found that really interesting and a very clever way to showcase your theme of the movie. Oh, and of course, with this theme, the movie satirizes modern Hollywood in a very great way, like with the scene in which the producer, the girl producer, has a Freudian slip and recognizes that the books are made for white people in the Hamptons like her. So yeah, that was really funny. Or when later he meets Adam Brody's character and he says that when he went to jail and he started hearing all the stories of all the people, that's when he realized that there was a lot of potential for underrepresented stories, which this can also be said as he saw an opportunity to make profit out of people's misery. So yeah, so the main question that this movie asks is if it's okay to represent black people this way. But if this was the only thing that the movie offered, that would be great, because honestly it satirizes a lot of modern, maybe corporate America and really the whole world. But this movie does us one better, because in one conversation between Monk and Sintara makes him realize that maybe the problem that Monk has with these kind of stories, because in this one scene Sintara makes Monk realize that maybe the problem that he has with these kinds of stories is that the reason that he considers that these kinds of stories aren't really showing black people's full potential is because he considers that they aren't good enough. So yeah, that and the fact that after that we are shown the study of the babies, perfect. I mean, this is a perfect film. This is going to be really hard to review because it's great. So yeah, so talking again about the writing, I really consider that this movie has a lot of great one-liners. Like for example, the metaphor with the Johnny Walker, which I know that if you've seen the movie, you also found to be really intelligent. Or when Monk's brother said that enemies see each other better than friends. I found that to be a really great one-liner. But not only that, this movie also excels at drama, like in moments in which Monk says some things to his new girlfriend which are very like out of line and you like suddenly are surprised. Or like when Monk's brother is dancing with his mom who has Alzheimer's and suddenly says that she always knew that she wasn't queer, which again is very like surprising and breaks her heart a little bit. Oh, and by the way, something that I really appreciated was the mother's mini arc, because after this scene you can tell that his brother takes it very hard, but at the end of the movie you can see his mother dancing with his lovers, so you can tell that everything ended up fine. And one thing that I also really appreciated was Lisa's death, which was really surprising, but it wasn't really treated as like a drama scene, but instead it was more like the surprise, the what the fuck happened. And I really thought that that was way more effective than making that scene like a more dramatic scene. So yeah, I really like that. But this movie isn't only dramatic, it's also very funny. Like for example, the scene in which his mother is talking about geniuses and you think that she's talking to Monk because, well, she's talking to Monk, but she like has Alzheimer's. And after a while you realize that she thinks that she's talking to his brother. So yeah, that was a very funny scene. Or like also the callbacks to Tyler Perry, which if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Was the way in which they conveyed Monk's imagination. Like when he's writing the book, he started like typing and suddenly his characters appeared. And they started like talking to him and you know, like they were having like a discussion about how the story was going to be. And really I found that really funny because it anticipated the end of the film, which was really, really meta, which to be honest at first it scared me, but after I realized how well written it was, it kind of won me over. To be honest, I wasn't really surprised that the movie that we were watching was the second project, the second story that Monk talked about to Adam Brody's character. But what I didn't expect was for the movie to end suddenly in the climax of the film and for Monk and Adam to start like discussing what the perfect end for the film would be. And really it was really funny how after a couple of different endings, the ending that they settled for was that the police was going to come and they were going to kill him, which ironically was one of the things that Monk was talking about, that black people are usually portrayed as deadbeat fathers, crack dealers or users, or black people killed by the police. And this happened to be what they did with his film. He ended up being killed by the police. So yeah, I found that really interesting. And the fact that after he realized he said fuck, which was the name of the book, was just simply perfect, I mean. And the fact that after that, when he goes into the car with his brother, you can see an actor dressed as a slave, like doing the peace sign. I mean, it's super profound and you can read that a lot of different ways. I mean, I've been gushing about the movie the whole review. Like I said, this was going to be really difficult, but I've tried my best to be objective. But as you can clearly see, I really like this movie. Well, so that was my review. I tried to be as objective as possible, but as you can clearly see, I really like this movie. And if you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor and watch it because it's really, really good. So yeah, so apart from that, like, subscribe. If you have any recommendation about a film, a series, an anime or whatever, please tell it to me because I want to keep making videos and I want to keep making videos that you will enjoy. Also, I'm leaving here one video that I think that you will enjoy, and yeah, until the next time.